100 grams.
Tell us your name and where you're from.
My name Devin. I'm from New Orleans, Holly Grove to be specific.
And how long have you lived in Holly Grove?
I stayed there my whole life pretty much, but I took some time away to go to school in Baton Rouge, but for the most part I stayed in the same house, same neighborhood my whole life.
All right, so you say you went to school in Baton Rouge. Who was that? Was that college?
Yeah, I went to LSU for undergrad, and I went to Southern Law for law school. So I was out there for an extended period of time.
All right, so tell us about that experience.
It was a great experience. I would say it allowed me to blossom into the person that I am now. Like, it gave me the freedom to be who I wanted to be, but still enough, like close enough to home where I could still come see my family and stuff. But BR was just like a whole nother. It's a whole nother story, bro. But I loved it. I still reminisce about it a lot. I miss it. But dope experience.
So expand on, you said that this is, it was a place to help you be who you were meant to be. What exactly do you mean by that?
So it's like growing up with like an older brother, a lot of the things I did then was based off of what he did. So, and it wasn't even, he set a great example for me. It's just that I didn't really have much of my own thoughts or like what I felt like I wanted to do. I may have had my own thoughts I wanted to do, but it would be like, I'm just gonna do whatever my brother doing pretty much. But being able to be away from him, I had to make my own decisions and like just decide like what I really wanted to do. So, yeah.
So being away helped you grow from what you were already used to at home?
Yeah, definitely. Like the level of freedom, the level of responsibility I had to have, it was just different, completely different. Because at home it's like a real safety net. Like I had both of my parents in my life, so whenever I did slip up or fumble, I knew that they was gonna be there. Like I knew that they had like love for me. I didn't have like a crazy wild childhood. I just had like, I guess you would say traditional. Like my parents was together, they still together. So yeah, just traditional.
So after school, exactly what was your path then? You said you went to law school.
So yeah, I did the undergrad thing. I took a year off, and then I decided to go to law school. And I finished that, and I just got to the point where I just realized that I want to do other things besides that. You know, I had like other interests that I really had passion about. So I did the 9-to-5 thing, and but now I'm kind of like exploring other avenues to do things that I'm really more passionate about. So
what are those avenues that you're passionate about?
The main thing I would probably say is like my book club. So I started a book club like 3 years ago called the Billionaires book club, and it's a nonfiction book club, and just pretty much I always felt like reading books is the best way to get knowledge, and I just want to pass that passion on to other people because I feel like in the world we're living in now, we get so much information from secondhand sources and not really doing our own research, and I feel like a book is like the best way to do that. So I kind of like push that idea as much as I can.
Okay, who would you say, if you had one book to read for the rest of your life, what book would you read continuously?
I would probably say the Malcolm X Autobiography, just because that's one of the first books I read in life, cover to cover. And it's just like, it's a story like about complete like change. Like you can start one way and finish your life a whole different way if you just choose to go in that direction. So I just always feel like I revisit that book a lot because sometimes I feel like I may be in a place I'm stuck, or I just feel like complacent, or just like I just feel like things not going my way, and I just sit down and think like nothing can stop you from doing what you want to do. Just have like dedication and just put the time in with it. So I would say that Malcolm X book, yeah.
So I also heard you say, you know, after school you finished. Where exactly did you go? Did you go back to New Orleans? Did you stay in Baton Rouge?
So I stayed in BR probably like 6 or 7 months, like post me finishing law school, and then I came back home, and I've been like here since. So I've been back in New Orleans since like 2017.
Okay, 2017. So all right, do you feel like okay? So what do you like about New Orleans? What is the best thing that you would say that you like about New Orleans?
I mean, of course, like family. Like this is like all of my family pretty much is still in New Orleans. So like, of course, family, and the culture, like I feel like New Orleans is one of the last places that has like a very distinct culture, whether it's from the food to the second lines to Mardi Gras, just period. Just like it's a very distinct place, and like no matter where I go in the world, people always like know what New Orleans is or where New Orleans is. So I think the culture just like is second to none.
Sounds good. So what's the negative thing that you think about New Orleans? What you think need to improve?
I mean, I would just say like from being back is like the infrastructure, like the streets is messed up. It's terrible, but mainly like I feel like the schools are just going in a direction I just feel like completely opposite where it needs to be going. So I would say like the schools, I would probably fix the schools and like affordable housing and stuff like that. Like those three things: the infrastructure, affordable housing, and like the public school system. I think are probably three of the worst things that to my knowledge.
All right, great. So now that you're back in New Orleans and you told us about what you're doing. Earlier you mentioned that you did grow up with both parents in the home, and you also mentioned your family, your brother. How do you feel like that affected the way that you approach life right now, having both parents and living with them?
I mean, having both my parents is like, it kind of gave me like the aspirational idea of like having my own family, like being married, having kids. So those are things I definitely want for myself. But the main thing I take away from having both my parents, like I said earlier, is just always knowing that I was loved. I never really felt like uncomfortable. I never felt like I didn't have a place or I didn't belong. I just always had like a level of confidence built in just because my parents was always there for me. Like whatever I wanted to do, I wanted to try this sport or this instrument, they always made a way for me to try it, or like, and when I did try it, it made me feel like I was the best at it, even if I knew I wasn't. It's just like they're very supportive people. So
how important do you think that is as far as that growing up that way? Do you feel like it?
I think it's important to a certain extent. I mean, I know a lot of people that didn't have their parents in their life and like they have like a certain grind about themselves where like they know no matter what they have to get it. With me, sometimes having both my parents is like a handicap because it's like I know I could not do something or do something and my parents gonna be there for me. So it's like I have a safety net, but sometimes having that safety net prevent you from taking chances or risks that you need to be taking to really advance yourself. So I don't think it's necessary, but I think, it helped in some aspects of my life, but it also hurt me in some aspects of my life.
So being a part of this, what you made with the book club, how would you expound on that for, the youth? Because that's something that's very important to, that it seems like it's very important. It seems like you're an avid reader.
Nah, definitely.
So how do you feel like that's important with the youth that we have right now?
I think it's important, but even bigger than that, I think it's just important that we engage the youth and ask them like what's going on with them. You know what I mean? Like the books is definitely cool, and I always push that, but it's like you kind of got to meet them where they at and then kind of put that on them. So, but I think the books will help them a lot because sometimes when you just reading, it just help you transport to a different place. And even sometimes it's just 5 or 10 minutes, just 5 or 10 minutes that you could just sit down and just be still. And I think sometimes like that's important, like just to be able to be still and be in your own thoughts and just, think about what's going on with you. But with the youth is like, I really wouldn't push the books on them initially. Like I said, I really would just ask them what's going on with them. Like, are they good? Like, what's going on in your life? Like, are you okay? Just simple things that they probably just don't hear often.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. And also, I understand that you're saying you want to start off where there are, but also since you're an avid reader, you got to that place, what do you think would be a good bridge for them to come from that place to get to where you are and having a knowledge?
So I would say, for me personally, I wasn't always an avid reader. Like I got introduced to reading like later in life, like in my late to mid 20s. So my whole life I grew up looking at reading as a chore because I didn't even know they had books that existed that were topics that I wanted to read about. So I think the bridge is finding what these kids are interested in and then like giving them options, like even more than books, but just different YouTube videos. This is what you want to do, like research this person or look into this person, and eventually if you develop an interest, then you're going to look for more and more information. And sometimes that is a book and sometimes it's not, but you just got to get them engaged like in what they want to be engaged in, like positive things though.
Only in New Orleans.